Craig? And can I get, if you can hear me, can I get the ID number? I'd rather do it through my laptop.
Good evening, everyone. Would like to get started with our meeting. Do I have a motion to open the meeting, please? Second. Thank you. Could we all please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Dr. Lewis.
Thank you so much. Today, this is my first budget that I'm going to be presenting to the board for their consideration. And tonight, we're really going to be focusing on the instructional piece. So we have all of our administrators here present in case the board has any questions. We can ask them to respond to a particular question that you may have. But let's begin with the slide deck with both Mr. Caputo and myself at the beginning, because this is the superintendent's proposed budget to the board. And so I wanted to begin with the idea of what this budget is really about. And this picture tells us what this budget is about, because the budget is really about students. I often say, no students, no budget. That's the whole point, that it is all about all of these wonderful things that make Malverne what it is. And so the proposed budget is, number one, is about maintaining learning opportunities for all students. And we want to maintain an academically enriched program that prepares our students for 21st century challenges. And I know that sounds cliche, but really, if you look at the work that is being done, it's about preparing us for the next challenge, what's coming. If you look at what's happening in technology, that's certainly it. We want to continue that momentum in technology. I'm so impressed with what I've seen, and we are going to continue that momentum. We are going to support co-curricular and athletic activities, and of course maintain a sound and safe facilities and grounds. That's important to do that. And I know that our community is appreciating the fact that we have been fiscally prudent in maintaining the tax levy below the tax cap, at the tax cap actually. And we also have included, especially in the year of COVID, supports for social and emotional well-being, not just for students, but for our staff and for our families. I often say that the budget is really, it has several pieces. It's like a puzzle. First, we have to think of the unfunded mandates. We have to look at decreasing revenues, and believe me, Mr. Caputo will be talking about that. We have to make sure our maintenance of facilities is focused on. We are entering into contractual obligations for several units. We have to look at the community's ability to pay in a difficult economic time. But number one is maintaining this distinguished feature of the Malverne education. The tax cap, these are some of the challenges, and Mr. Caputo will take this.
So some of the challenges that we are facing as a district and potential loss of state aid in future years, dealing with COVID-19 for the upcoming year, as well as finishing off this school year, dealing with COVID, and then various unfunded mandates, such as RTI, AIS, and also trying to tangle with and maintain facility upgrades for safe buildings and safe grounds. Looking at the revenue for the current school year and the upcoming 2021-22 school year, the tax levy and state aid are the overwhelmingly majority of the revenue that we receive to fund the school budget at approximately 95% combined. And the remaining 5%, give or take, is miscellaneous revenue, as well as the use of fund balance and reserves for both school years. A state aid update. In late January, Governor Cuomo did release the first round of state aid for the 21-22 school year budget. The adopted 2021 current year budget is $11.4 million, and the upcoming proposed current estimated 21-22 state aid run was just over $12 million, which also reflects a state cut of just under $1.7 million, which is backfilled by federal or COVID stimulus money to offset the state aid cut. So essentially what is happening is the state is cutting funding, and they are using the federal money to subsidize and offset that cut for the upcoming school year. And again, a total year-to-year change on the budget right now is 11.4 in the current year, 12.05 for the estimated 21-22 state aid. Looking at the tax cap, the projected tax levy for the upcoming school year is projecting to increase just under $695,000. The current 2021 levy is $45.2 million, and the levy of $694,000 increase would be a 1.54%. So the district is proposing to increase the current year tax by 1.54%, which is allowable as per the tax levy formula. And again, the $694,000 increase is 1.54%, proposed levy to levy increase. That 1.5% increase historically is rather low compared going back to 02-03 school year, and the levy is lower than the last 3 school years that we have proposed to the community. The district does have fund balance and reserves. We are using some of those funds this year as well as the upcoming school year. So as part of this proposed budget tonight, the district is continuing to return over $1 million to the taxpayers to help reduce taxes for the upcoming school year, as well as maintain current expenditures. Fund balance and reserves are used to assist with capital expenditures, insurance, debt service, retirement system contribution payments. And then lastly, fund balance and reserves, the function of the funds are also to maintain reserve levels to provide cash flow cushions to address any unexpected changes or revenue projections. And as we've stated, state aid is a little bit of a limbo this year and next year, so having a cash flow is important to maintain the stability of the district's academic programs. So we've talked a lot about the revenue on the last few slides. So this current slide, this pie chart, is showing the expenditure or the appropriation side of the budget. The overwhelmingly majority of the budget is for instruction and benefits, which is a combined total of just over 80% of the entire proposed spending budget. General support is a little over 9%. Transportation expenditures are roughly 5.5% of the proposed budget. Debt service 4.4%, and the interfund transfer is a 0.2% of the overall budget. The current proposed overall budget-to-budget increase for the 21-22 school year is right now 1.69%. Again, that may change as we move forward between now and the budget adoption date due to state aid. We're still waiting on the final state aid numbers, which are due in March. However, right now the current budget projection for next year, budget to budget, is 1.69%, which would be the lowest that we have on record. And the average increase annually since 2002 has been 3.6%. So the proposed budget is the lowest that we've ever come out to the community with public for a public vote. So in addition to the annual budget vote and tax levy, there will be a second proposition related to a proposed capital reserve fund expenditure. And Mr. Balzan will go into greater detail on the Proposition 2.
Thank you, Chris. I'm here tonight to talk to you about Prop 2 on the May 18th vote. These expenditures in Proposition 2 will be of no additional cost to the taxpayer. Proposition to authorize the total of expenditure of $2,080,000. There are two items in which this will be proposed. It is the lion's share going to the Malverne High School varsity baseball field upgrade and some district-wide site improvements. We put together a graphic of what this field will look like upon completion. We're actually getting two fields into one, but I want to be very clear when I communicate this. The infield of the baseball field will be turfed, and we'll have a multi-purpose field on the outfield that will be grass. Also being turfed are the two bullpens on the left side of the screen. All the dugouts will be redone, and turf will stretch, again, for the infield only, the outfield being grass. Next slide, please. And if you look at these four graphics, you'll see some of the finer details that'll go into the project. We look to outfit both dugouts, home and away, with the appropriate apparel holders, helmets, bats, and benches. These will be block foundation walls with overhangs. We're also looking to do fencing with additional foul pole fencing that'll extend north of 20 feet, so it won't hit our buildings or other features of our campus. And again, this is the infield being turf. Lastly, we are looking to do some tech upgrades for this field and make sure we have the appropriate speakers and sound and audio and visual that'll accompany the home field. Thank you.
So jumping back to the budget vote and the Proposition 1, if the budget that is proposed is not approved by the voters in May, the district can do one of the following. Resubmit the defeated budget a second time to the voters, submit a revised budget, or lastly, the board could choose to adopt and go straight to a contingent budget. Should the board and the district have to operate on a contingent budget, the district would be forced to cut $694,858 from the proposed budget that is being presented this evening. So please, everyone's voice counts. Please come out and join us as we work to develop the budget. over the next couple of months that is mindful to the district, the community, the residents, and the current economic climate that we are all facing. Looking ahead, the next board meeting is March 9th. The next budget review board meeting will be held at 7 o'clock on March 23rd, which will then be followed by the annual budget adoption, April 13th. The budget hearing will be held on May 11th at 8 o'clock. And then lastly, the budget vote will be held 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Tuesday, May 18th. And the vote will be held as normal or customary pre-COVID. It will be held back at the middle school gymnasium.
Thank you. And so I always end my budget presentation with the kindergarten class. And this is a kindergarten class of 2033. And the reason I always use that is because I want to assure the public that what's in this budget will guarantee a vibrant future for the class of 2033, just as we did for the class of 2021. So we ask you to support, to come out and follow our budget timeline. And we just want to thank you for coming in. And I want to recognize the fact that all of our administrators are here. And we're going to continue this presentation first with the Downing principal, who will explain what's in the budget for Downing. Mr. Talon.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone. Sorry there, a little reverb. I was just wondering, do we have the slide there at all? Okay. Could we go to the previous slide? Is that possible? No? Okay. Maybe it's the next one. All right, well, the proposed budget for Downing, we're looking at adapting to the changing times, which is very important. It's very different, our early elementary, compared to years ago, especially with COVID and what we have been going through the last year and a bit. So, we're looking at updating our iPads, using Seesaw, of course, WebEx and Boom cards, which have been a very big help for early elementary. Our clubs still go. We've been going on virtually. Many of our clubs, computer club, reading club, science club, Spanish club, art club, STEM, student council, glee club. These are things that our students love and enjoy, and they still continue during our virtual time, which is very important. And we're looking forward to getting them back in person when we can do that properly, socially distant. Professional development, our foundations training, our connecting Explore with Science-based curriculum, our curriculum writing, continuing with writing and social studies. We're looking to implement more. Enriching educational support, building on our new outdoor classroom that we worked with our PTA with over the last year. Looking to expand our Explore in STEM program with that. Looking at field trips, both virtual and local. Building on our multi-age collaborations with the Atria that we've been doing over the last 2 or 3 years. And continue our classroom enrichment with new desk. During COVID, we had to change for our students to go from collective desk to individual desk at that time. And we are looking to continue to add to update that furniture and additional supplies for students. And let me see if I can bring this up. Thank you, Mr. Gahuli. No, I don't have it. But it was a slide from one of our students there talking about and all the things at Downing and what we want to thank our parents. One of the slides was also a slide of our parade that our parents put on for our both Davison and Downing. And we want to thank all our families for their support through COVID and also throughout the school year. So I want to thank everyone for that.
The talent.
Okay.
I know that the slide, what you sent us was an active PowerPoint, but this is not showing as an active PowerPoint. And I would really like to, once we're done with all the principals, to come back to that slide, because that was a pretty important slide.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you,
if we
Dr.
could end
Lewis.
with that. So let's try to figure it out.
Okay.
And then in the meanwhile, we'll have our principal, Gross, Rachel.
Good evening.
Where is she?
Changed it up.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. Good evening, community. Just to share a little bit about what the budget has in store for Davison Avenue. The first slide is pictures depicting our year. Although it was a year of crisis and a year of challenge, I think the pictures speak for themselves, where you can see that we have found a way to bring joy, normalcy, and fun activity to the school year. Whether it was our staff costume event on Halloween or our holiday countdown before the winter break, we made sure to make the inauguration special, theme days, and a focus of mine and a commitment of the Davison Avenue faculty and staff has been a one school mentality. So if our students are home on virtual instruction or they're with us in person, we are committed to making sure it's a unified experience and that it's a shared experience. The proposed budget for Davison includes implementation of core curricular programming, which is specifically our core instructional practices in math, ELA, science, and social studies. We all know that we have moved to the next generation learning standards, which focus on student inquiry, discovery, and exploration, and our hope is to continue with that model. We want to increase our extracurricular activities, our clubs, our field trips, our assemblies, virtual learning experiences. We have really spent a lot of time, I would say, reimagining what we do in terms of interactive activities that are supposed to be, or at least are supposed to enhance our core curricular. And next year, we hope to keep some of the things that we learned during COVID and build upon that as well. Classroom upgrades. This year, actually the coming year, the 2021-2022 school year marks the centennial of Davison Avenue as a building. We were the first building to be constructed in the Malverne School District, and although that is something to boast about, we also know that we have a lot of upgrade needs. So, starting with the third grade, we're taking a look at our furniture, and we are going to hopefully purchase desks and chairs to house all of our classrooms in a way that is dignified for the instruction that we deliver. We want to work on expanding our Mission Explore during the COVID era with a strong emphasis on social emotional learning. We understand that all of our students are living through trauma, and we need to be prepared to support our students emotionally, socially, and in order to do that, we have to provide professional development and develop curriculum that's aligned with those needs. And we also are hoping that we get to reintroduce all of the wonderful enrichment courses that we had already and originally implemented in our 9-period day. So STEM, literature workshop, learning lab, those are all courses that require purchasing of materials, and we're hoping to bring them back. And I thank you for your support. We encourage the participation, and we hope that you understand that Davison Avenue is a smart investment. Thank you.
will present HTH Herbert.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. To the Malverne Board of Education, we always thank you for your support year to year. When you're looking at these pictures, these students would never have the experience they have in middle school without your support. And I'll start with the bottom right. Every single year, we take the National Junior Honor Society to Washington, D.C. It's about 45% of the 8th grade that has that chance to go. And in order to be part of Honor Society, you need to maintain an 88 average in your core classes. Quite an impressive feat. And as we keep going, as we go up, you can see the cheerleaders. We have currently over 14 sports that run year to year. And the kids work extremely hard in their classes to make sure that they're able to join this, to be part of this sport program. Guys and Dolls, about 3 years ago, we started a musical program in the middle school. It has grown exponentially. And I would like to remind everybody in the community to please buy your tickets. You got an email from me from the Malverne School District, and you'll get another email on Thursday. It's our first virtual middle school musical, and it's Guys and Dolls and Junior. And as you start walking around, you can start seeing we have the club pictures. We have this year so many additional clubs. It's incredible. Over 25 clubs this year. Clubs is something that students absolutely love. Then we got the volleyball, and you can see the picture on the bottom. That is just our 8th grade National Junior Honor Society. Moving on, the budget this year, it always helps our students. And the first thing I always want to highlight is the reading and math academic services. We are able to service all the students in reading and in math that are struggling students. And that is only because the budget has it built in year to year. About 3 years ago, we started running science electives, especially in the 8th grade. The 3 electives we offer is PLTW, disease detectives, and that is a direct link to the high school program. One thing that Florence Blay always asks is that we start the bridge program from the middle school to the high school, and in 8th grade, we run the PLTW program. And that's when students actually sit down and they start studying diseases and start studying crime scenes, and they start using the knowledge that they've gained in living environment in order to solve mysteries. The 2 other science electives that we offer is Evolutionary, Ecology, and Genetics. These are topics that the students absolutely love, and it's also topics that are covered over the living environment regions over and over. The next program that we run is English electives. Next year, we're going to be running acting techniques, 21st century literacy, mock trial, and destination imagination. And those are English electives that build on the College Board material we use. It's quite an impressive program that we run in the English department, and these electives build year after year. The next program that we run, and Mr. Messina loves that program, like I said, is the theater program. We have over 50 to 60 kids every single year part of our theater program. And without this budget, that theater program would never have taken off. And without the support of the Board of Education, that would never have happened. Mr. Messina likes to rename the violin program to the strings program. He tells me all the time it's a strings program. That is this will be the first year, and probably stealing this from Dr. Romano, but this is going to be the first year that the string program is going to be in the high school. This is its 4th year, so that's quite impressive. The middle school has the band. Like I said, we have over 25 clubs. iPads this year, of course, K to 12. We have iPads K to 12, and in the middle school, in the 6th grade, is the first year that the students use the Microsoft Suite, and they use OneNote. 14 athletic teams, and we constantly upgrade the classrooms. And when I talk about upgrading the classrooms, I'm talking about making sure that the educational space supports the curriculum and the rigor that we offer to the students. Again, to the Malverne Board of Education, thank you so much for your support.
Good evening and thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for the opportunity to share a small piece of our budget. I have the opportunity to share on behalf of my amazing colleagues who are tenacious and passionate about giving our students the very best, our department leaders and chairpeople, Ms. Bascom, our assistant principal, and our dean of students, Mr. Brescia, who all contributed to this budget. When we talk about the budget, we talk about what's important to us. And what's important is providing our students with rigorous coursework throughout their high school career, because we know by doing that, they're more likely to succeed in college. Next year, we're looking to expand our program once again by offering AP Human Geography and AP Physics 1. Now, both courses will allow us to expand student exposure to AP courses. And we know, as the research will tell us, an exciting statistic is if a student takes one AP course and scores a 3 or higher on an AP exam in high school, they outperform their peers in college and have higher graduation rates. I don't know about you, but that's a group that I'd like my child to be in, so I'm happy that we're providing that opportunity to our students. We're expanding our dual enrollment courses in STEM, PLTW, AP Calculus, Calc, and something we're really excited about is a new STEM Academy that we'll be presenting. And I'd like to thank Ms. Belay and Mr. Alvarez, who I know put a lot of effort. I'm noticing we're not up on now. Who put a lot of effort into creating the STEM Academy. Now that academy is going to include right now 4 different courses: 3D design and animation, 3D printing and design, drone piloting and certification, and game design and development. And we're happy to say that we'd like to start offering that this summer if it's part of the budget. Along with many of our other enrichment programs over the summer, because we know how important it is to keep our students engaged over the summer. We're aware of the research on the summer slide, and when our students are engaged over the summer, they're better prepared and keep their learning from one year to the next. This year, we hope to offer a full-fledged summer school program with math, science, English, and social studies, as well as some of our STEM programs, our Athletes Assisting Athletes program, and our Science Readiness program. To stick with our philosophy that failure is not an option, and that's a big commitment because it requires money to provide additional support outside of the classroom, and that's the great equalizer: our homework centers, our Saturday enrichment programs, our Regents Assistant programs, advanced placement programs, extensive extra help program. We're starting our peer mentoring program, which we'd like to continue and build up. We're bringing it back from previous years because it got cut through the budget. We're looking to bring that back and starting this year. And then finance our mission to educate the whole child. And we know we have 25 different clubs in the high school. They've been doing an amazing job during COVID, meeting. Our Model United Nations teamed up with Sayville earlier in the year. Our quiz club competed several times this year with other schools on Long Island. Black Studies World Cultures Club, and if I can make a quick plug, please join us for our Black Studies celebration this Thursday, 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel. Our students worked very hard to put that program together. Robotics Club, Service Learning Club, who is currently planning and designing our garden, which was created by the development of the new wing. Of course, our prestigious marching band. I know we talked about Mr. Messina liking to name things. He likes to call the football field the marching band field. That's still up for contention. I'm not sure about that. But sports are back, and we know how important sports are to our students, and we've never realized that more now than we have before. And too often you see when budgets get cut, some of the first programs that get cut are sports, so we can't have that. Our social and emotional health of our students, always important, but certainly pushed to the forefront and realizing it's more important than ever before. So the training, professional development, the initiative programs will all be part of the budget next year. We're excited that this year, on March 18th, I believe that's the date, we'll be doing our first Wellness Day as part of our new initiative for SEL and a new focus. That day will be dedicated 100% to our students' social and emotional health. And I'll tell you, I think the adults benefit from that as well. And lastly, very important, hopefully we can dislodge our social studies and English departments who call the library their home. But we do need our new library research and media center, and some money in that budget is to provide furniture, to redesign a library that's so important to us. I thank everyone for their time, and I encourage you to support this year's budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Romano. And maybe it's lucky for us that we will go back to that one slide, if you would permit me, Board, because Mr. Talent had worked so hard on that, and I thought maybe we should begin with the kindergarten class. Begin with the end in mind. Thank you.
Thank you for our technology. Thank you for our clubs. Thank you for helping. Thank you for making school fun.
Thank you. That was perfect. Wasn't that perfect? That's great. To end with the kids, because that's what this budget is about. And so I'm going to turn this evening over to Mr. Gahuli and Mr. Caputo. We will go through our lines. Any questions that the board has, we can address with all of our chairs, directors, and principals. So thank you.
Okay, we're going to start off with 2010, the curriculum development and supervision. I ask the board if they have any questions on that section. Okay. 2010, curriculum development and supervision. All right, we're going to move on to 2020, which is supervision. Are there any questions? All right, we're going to move on to 2070, which is in-service training. No questions. Moving on to 2110. It's a big one, is the regular education.
There's a few that are, sort of large increases, like foreign language and MHS, math, MHS. Is that just, the usual contractual steps and lanes types of thing, or is that adding staff?
There's no staff added, it's contractual. There also might be a teacher that have switched from one building to the other, so it might have skewed going
So
from
it's
year
like
to year comparison. So there could be
Subtraction from one and adding
correct.
to another.
So it could be a number of factors.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All good? All right, 2250, special education.
So, sorry, 2250, 400. We have a 15% increase in that. Is there, can you just explain why? 2250, 400.
The main driver of that line is one-to-one nursing services. So there have been an addition of one-to-one nursing services for some individual students per their IEP the last year.
Okay.
So that's reflective there.
And then I just had a question about charter schools. There's a decrease. How many students in our district go to charter schools?
Currently have 18.
18. Is that an
including one
increase
senior.
or a decrease? Is that an increase or a decrease?
We actually had 18 last year.
Okay.
So
And how much comes out of our budget to pay for charter schools?
out of the general fund, the regular education is about $400,000 for tuition for the 18 children.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. 2280, occupational education. All right, moving on. 2332 is summer programs. I can't hear you.
For Davison, are we just adding a supplementary teacher? 2610-150-0300. It's the 104.76% increase.
That's library, that's not summer.
Hang on. Yeah, we're on 2610.
Okay, we'll move on to
Oh, sorry.
2610.
Sorry, my mistake.
That's all right. We'll go to the other. All right, 2610, which is the libraries.
No, I just said salary is instructional for Davison is up 105%.
Yeah, that we had a part-time teacher in there, and then due to COVID and all the COVID things we put in, the social distancing, spreading out the rooms, we had to use that teacher as a full-time teacher for the year. So that's the change. Okay, moving on, 2630, computer-assisted instruction. Good. Okay, 2805, which is the registrar. And 2810 is guidance. No questions? 2815 is health services.
Sorry, Mr. Kahuli, did we lose a guidance at Davison? Did it drop?
Do we lose?
Guidance, because it says there's a decrease for Davison for guidance.
2810, 15003.
2810.
15003.
Or is it replacement with a new person at a lesser salary? Yeah.
2010, 15003.
20% drop. Is it that we're replacing a,
No, we have a speech teacher who's a full-timer, and we have a part-time guidance counselor there. That's what's under that code.
okay. Is it decrease, not an increase?
2010, 15003. I want to say, was there a retirement?
Yeah, like 20%.
Oh, okay. The year before, we budgeted higher,
Okay.
and then we reduced it to this year. Where are we up at? 2820, psychology services. I think we got caught up in on the other one. I think we said it, 2815 was health services. And I think we went backwards. Okay, then 2820 is psychology services.
So just 2820, 15002. So we're looking at Herber. Just if you could explain the increase, please. 2820, 150.
So this is 2 employees, 2 psychologists out of there, and the reason for the variance year to year is because this code, 1 employee out of this code also gets paid out of the grant, out of the federal grants, the 611, 619, so there was an adjustment on their salary, so the offsetting factor is splitting it between the federal and the general fund, so when we had to adjust the federal grant, it's an inverse, yeah. So no staffing change, it's just a reallocation of the monies.
So we're at 2850, co-curricular.
Just had a question about that. Is there any funds in the budget for robotics beyond the advisors, like for equipment or tools or supplies?
Well, I know last year we had a list of tools that we purchased through Dr. Kalidas' office. Any materials that we've needed, we've gone through that way in the past. We've never really budgeted for it. So he gives us a list, and then we try to knock the whole list out as quick as possible.
With bands, since we had no trips, we didn't compete, and we may have saved a lot of money with busing and events. Do we have extra funding to be able to put towards new uniforms or new musical instruments?
Mr. Messina, I believe he has been actually doing that. We can let him speak if he's like, but yes, that has been occurring this year. We have been saving on transportation.
Also, I'd just like to add to that, we have been purchasing instruments using that money this year. I purchased a lot of new instruments for Davison and for Herber and for the high school. Everyone's getting stuff using that money already.
2855 is interscholastic activities. Sports? No questions? Then that is it.
I did have a question about 5510, 160. Salaries for transportation.
That's, I believe we're going over the transportation budget in March.
Oh, okay, so this is for later. Okay.
Which is instructional only this evening. Sure, we can go.
Well, I just, we had, detail worksheets. Yep. and some, I couldn't find the one for that. So I just was curious, like what positions are included in that?
So that line, those are the bus driver salaries. So we have seven bus drivers and a part-time bus driver in there as well.
I'm sorry, I should have realized. Okay. Thank you, that's fine.
The first evening of our budget presentation, we wanted to focus on instruction and what's happening in the schools. And on March 23rd, we'll focus on the other aspects of the budget. But if the board has any other questions or any direction that they would like us to go in, please let us know.
Josephine Botita had one question about if there's any movement on trying to get sign language into the high school. So I don't know if that's, I wouldn't think that would be budgeted for next year, but she just said ask about sign language. She wanted to ask about sign language. Sign. Is that something we're still exploring? Okay.
So one of the things that we'll find in the budget our staffing is exactly the same as it is this year. We did not budget for any additional staffing. And we don't have contingency positions in our budget. I would love to see sign language as something that we add. If we were to add it, it would be at the beginning in Downing, because that's the perfect spot for it. There's 16 classes at Downing, 16 classrooms. You can't do one without the other. So K2, or if you started with just one grade level, it requires 0.5 staffing. Now, if we come upon some funds, I did speak with Yvonne Daza about the possibility of adding that and what that would do to the program. It's a wonderful addition, but we don't have it in the budget right now. It's something we should really think about for the future, especially when we looked at what Mr. Benfante was able to produce with very little resources. Just it's a tremendous tool for our young people, and I have seen it move up through the grades using sign language. But right now, we support Italian and we support Spanish. It would be another language, and it would be 0.5 FTEs.
Anyone in the public have any questions for the budget? Jan? No? Any staff members? Going gone.
I would like to express my appreciation for my entire administrative team for coming in tonight. They were at the ready to answer any questions, as you could see. And they have been so thoughtful about putting this budget together, knowing the economic climate that we're on, knowing that this year's CPI is very low and that we needed to come in under the tax, at the tax cap, which is 1.54. So thank you so much for all the work you do and for putting together such a thoughtful budget. And I hope that your questions were answered. Tomorrow marks day 100, and we are going to celebrate it in our schools. And I know Downing had some masks that they handed out. I have it in my car for the board members. So each of you has a packet that Downing prepared for you. So thank you. Day 100, we're going to celebrate. And then again, we have another celebration on March 12th, because that marks a full year that we have been in COVID closure. Somewhat. I mean, let's make it fun. Because we have really turned it out. Our schools have turned it out. So we're going to celebrate on March 12th. And again, day 100.
Please have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second, please. Thank you, everybody. The meeting is now adjourned. I appreciate you coming. Thank you.